When you're playing a board game, the goal generally is to win. I mean, I know a lot of us play games of all kinds to hang out with people and to be in community with one another. But all the games that we play have conditions for victory, a way to win the game. So it doesn't really matter whether you're playing a resource management game, or you're playing chess, or even if you're playing a game like Uno. The goal in general is to win the game. Sometimes when we're playing games, you end up in a situation where it's just really clear that you're not in a good position. Kind of like this player right here. This player is not going to win the game. And sometimes in chess, you're just being outmaneuvered by the other person. Or if you're playing Uno, the other players are just plain luckier than you are. And when you're really on the losing side of it, or you don't feel like you have a chance to win, you feel like you want to give up. You feel like you want to give up hope. That's often how it is in life. We look at the world that we live in today. It's full of so many things that seem to go wrong. Evil is all around us. And it's not just in our day and age, it's been that way throughout human history. And so we ask ourselves the question, what hope is there? The good news is, in Jesus Christ, there is hope for victory.
The world is full of goodness and beauty, but it is also marred by evil. Evil takes many shapes. The most obvious is when we see evil on a massive scale, such as in the wars throughout history, or even worse, in genocide. Through systems of chattel slavery, racial or class-based oppression, through political, corporate, and other societal powers that pursue power and profit at the expense of the lives or well-being of people. Through those who abuse their authority, in workplaces, even in their homes, to satisfy their own selfish needs. Evil is everywhere. And the tendency towards evil resides in all of us. Whenever we stray from the goodness and wholeness of God's way, not loving God and not loving our neighbors, when we lie, cheat, or give in to our greed and selfish desires, we give in to the way of darkness. All of the thoughts and acts that stem from evil, whether on a global and societal scale or on the individual level, are what the Bible calls sin, that which threatens to separate us from the goodness and love of God. And if our tendency towards sin wasn't bad enough, the Bible teaches us that there are spiritual forces in the world which work against God's way, promoting the way of evil in both blatant and subtle ways. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12 says, "Our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." Against such forces, how can goodness hope to win? How can we overcome the evil within, let alone the evil in the world? Humanity has tried and failed. You and I have tried and failed. The good news is Jesus has not and will not fail. Through Jesus, God's victory is secure. 1 Corinthians 15, verses 56 and 57 says, "The sting of death is sin, and the power of sin is the law. But thanks be to God who gives us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ." Referring to Jesus, the prophet Isaiah said, "He will swallow up death forever. The sovereign Lord will wipe away the tears from all faces, and he will remove his people's disgrace from the earth." In Jesus' death on the cross and through his resurrection, Jesus is victorious. He is victorious over death, conquering the consequences of sin. He is victorious over injustice, defying the systems and powers which imposed unjust suffering and death upon him. He is victorious over the spiritual forces of the world, showing the world that evil may do its worst, but God is still victorious. Saying yes to Jesus means saying yes to the victory of Jesus in our lives and for our world. While we may not see this victory in its fullness, following Jesus and the way of the cross means that we live and act in such a way to remind ourselves and to declare to all the world around us that there is hope in the ultimate victory that brings healing to our lives and restoration to the world.